Let's. Hey, everybody. Hi. Oh, wow. People are already showing up. Amazing. Hello. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Sarah. Robin. Kim. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Vandra. I'm just going to give a minute for folks to join us. Good morning. Hi, Robin. Hope everyone's doing well today. Hello, everybody. I see lots of folks here who are part of our Sew Squad, but we'll also have people joining us for this course who are not part of the core Sew Squad. So I do want to just touch on a little bit about navigating everything in the squad. Make sure everyone is comfortable ahead of the course start. Hi, everybody. So for those of you who are new or who aren't, there's Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Hi. For those of you who aren't familiar, this is just a live stream. So it's just me coming to you live. You can be in your pajamas or whatever you want. You're not on screen today, but there is a chat. So if you click, there's a little tab for chat, or if you're on your phone, I think it's just down at the bottom, and you can type questions. You can say hello. You could drop an emoji in there for how you're feeling on this Friday. But welcome, everyone. Hello. Okay, let's get started. So, Chaos with a Twist 2026 starts April 11th. I did post the recording from the previous course in the fall. That was the Q&A session because I just looked at it again to see what I talked about or what people's questions were. So I'll go over those questions again, but the recording is in the space. So let me tell you about the space. Unfortunately, I don't think I can, maybe I can share my screen. What happens? Let me see if I can do this. If I can't share my screen, that's okay. A window? I don't think it works. I don't think it's going to work for me. That's okay. Okay, so in the space, when you go into the course, you sign in. Especially, I recommend doing it on a desktop, at least like on our class days. Either do it on a computer, like a laptop, or if you have an iPad or even a phone, I recommend using the browser. So logging in using Chrome or Safari, whatever it is you use. There is an app for Mighty Networks, and you can get the app and then you can log in that way, but the app has less functionality. And so I like to use the browser, log in that way to the Sew Squad, to the Chaos with a Twist class. And when you're in there, you'll see a few different sections along the top. Just going to make sure I say these right. So the first section says course content. Okay, in that section will be all of our recordings. The very first, right now, if you go in right now, there's an overview. You can read all about the course, the dates we're doing, everything. There's an overview. And then also already live, there are documents for your supplies. The block construction guide, I think, is already in there. So you can, download and print that off whenever you want. So all your documents that you need, all the prep and supplies are already posted. And then that's where all of our recordings will go. So today's recording will also go into the course content section. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. As things unlock, as we get further along in the course, more content will unlock, okay? I will also say, hey, Denise from Rhode Island, hello. I'll also say that all of our 3 sessions, we have 3 official sessions, 3 classes. Those will be recorded as well in their entirety and be posted there. So if you miss a session, it'll be there for you to follow along on your own schedule, okay? The second section is live. It's called live sessions. So when you go in there, that's like the calendar. It shows you the events. You can click into the event. You can RSVP. That's where the Zoom link will be for that session. So the live sessions is really like the calendar, and you'll want to go in there and RSVP to each of the sessions, okay? The third section is community posts. So this is the fun place. It's like where if you're want to share your progress, or you're stuck and you've got a question, or you're pulling some color palettes and you want to do a poll and get people to tell you or help you decide what to do, you can post in community posts. Okay, so it's a fun space where everyone can share, everyone can do posts whenever you want. I should mention, in community posts, you should be able to @LibsElliot. So you should be able to tag me. So if you've got a question and you want me to see it, put @lib and start typing LibsElliot and I should pop up. That helps because then I'll get a notification. Sometimes people post a question and I miss it. I don't get notified for every single thing that goes up in the posting section. So I try to be on it and check in, but if you've got something like urgent, especially, be sure to @LibsElliot. That should work. Okay. And then the last section is just students. It's like you can click on there and you can see all the other participants. Right now, I think we have over 50 people. I think we've got about 57 people joining us this spring. So that's super exciting. So it'll be a nice sized group. All right. Here's another thing. Last time I did this in the fall, we did our 3 sessions. So the sessions are spaced out 1 month apart, which gives us a nice time. It's not like high pressure, like, you know, if you're doing it 3 weekends in a row, that's a lot of pressure for quilts this size. So I spaced them out by 1 month. But I ended up also doing a little check-in. So we did our first session, and the first session, we're just designing. You're not cutting any fabrics. You don't even have to have your fabrics chosen or anything at that point. We're starting from scratch. We've got pieces of paper. I'm going to be rolling dice, pulling bingo chips, and we'll be just drafting and sketching, okay? So I like to do a check-in after that, a few weeks after. So likely I'll schedule something. The first session's on the 11th, so I'll probably schedule something by the end of, or like 2 or 3 weeks, or 3 or 4 weeks into April, just to check in and see if people have any questions. Because you can also share your progress or share your questions again in the feed, but it's nice to have a little live, like 1 hour, see where people are at and how they're doing. So I'll schedule one of those. And then we ended up having one final bonus check-in at the end of the course, because we did our final session together. People are putting together their quilt tops at that stage, but not everyone's finishing, right? So I thought it'd be nice to have like one final session, see people's tops, talk about quilting. Some people will have things quilted by then too. So I'll probably do that by the end of June. Okay. So it's just a little bonus. It's not official. You don't have to participate in those. I will record them again so that you can, if you miss them, you can check in and see. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? If you have a question, please type it into the chat and let me know. I don't know if any of you have watched the recording from the fall Q&A, but if not, I'll tell you some of the things we talked about. Denise is typing. Oh, good. The recording helped. Yeah, I feel like I watched it this morning and I feel like it answered some of the bigger questions. Templates, I do have acrylic templates available. I recommend if you're in Canada, you order them from me. If you're in the US, order them from Paper Pieces. I will post a link in the community feed, and I might have already posted it in the supplies list, but they're not mandatory. Acrylic templates are great, but they can be pricey, and you know, you're already going to be spending money on fabric potentially, or maybe you're shopping your stash, which is great for this. So you don't have to order the acrylic templates. I will say, if you order them, they work also for the Bloom quilt and the La Fin du Monde quilt, and they're actually called La Fin du Monde quilt, or acrylic templates, and you'll want the large set, okay? But you don't have to do that, all right? Oh, nice. Yeah, someone else. I think the clammies will work. I think a few other people pulled out some like other alternate templates that work with these. We're making 8.5-inch unfinished blocks. So if you've got a clammy or another quarter curve acrylic template, that will help. The other thing is, when we're designing, and if you're newer to quilting, or you're like, I don't want to deal with curves or orange peels, you don't have to choose those blocks for your design. There's plenty of blocks in our block construction guide. There are 20 blocks to choose from. Lots of them don't have any curves, and you can just be like, nope, skip it. I don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to even do curves if you don't want to. But yeah. Another thing is that I talked about in the previous Q&A was fabric selection. So I know people already want to start thinking about their fabrics, but you don't even have to think about it till the end of our first session, because our first session is really, we're just sketching and coming up with ideas. By the second session, you'll probably have your fabrics chosen, because we want to start cutting things up. And in between, like I said, we'll do a check-in. So like if you want to share palettes you're thinking about, I can give you feedback. Other participants, if you choose, can give you feedback. It was interesting because in that Q&A, I'd said you should have between 8 and 12 fabrics, but I was surprised how many people ended up making two-color quilts. Brenda Bastian, who's a squad member, made like a black and white one. I think she even had drawn up 2. They look so good, just 2 colors, kept it simple. It was really interesting. Looks sort of almost like a very traditional quilt, but a really cool modern spin. So, you know, you might end up sketching, coloring, and going, I'm only going to use 3 colors. That's totally cool. Okay, I want you to make something that you love. I don't want you to sew a quilt in any of my courses that you're not happy with or that you don't like. So all along the way, we do check-ins and make sure that you're making something that you're happy with. Oh, that's a good question, Denise. Is there a gallery where we can see some of those limited color palettes? There isn't, unless people have shared on Instagram. So you know what? I will make, and actually I've shared like in my newsletter and things, some of the results, but I'll post some in, I'll make a post. Okay, quilt gallery. It'll give you some inspiration. I'm always sort of like, ooh, should I do that or not? Because then I don't want people to say, oh, I'm going to make one that looks just like that. But, you know, but then I think, why not? Like, do what you want. And it'll give you some ideas for how things will look. Because I think, I will be honest, often that first session where we're just drawing on paper, it's hard to imagine what it looks like in real life, right? So people do have, you might start out feeling really kind of uncomfortable, out of your comfort zone, and then you know, we work it so that eventually you come into your comfort zone. You have some control. So initially it's like chaos, right? Unknown, randomness happens, and then you make design decisions. So it's fun, I promise. What was the other thing I discussed? I talked about colors a little bit. And I'll talk more, I mean, when we get into that, we'll talk about color values and contrast and using prints for solids. I talked about acrylic templates. I think each session for this one, I scheduled 3 hours. I think maybe just 2 even. Lots of time for us to work together. And then also I'm always available for you to check in with me. I recommend, if you don't DM me, you can also email me. But be sure when you type studio@libselliot.com, it's got 2 L's and 2 T's in Elliot, okay? Can I talk about the process that we'll take you through? Gus is here, sorry, he's being a guard dog. The process, okay, so the first session is all about just sketching, designing our quilts, and that'll be based on selections that you make for the blocks that you want to sew and want to use in your design. And we'll be sketching those on worksheets. So I've already given you the worksheets in the handouts section, in the content section. And you might want to print out a few of those worksheets ahead of time. So when you come to class, bring a few of them, bring a pencil, some colored pencils or markers to use to color. And we're just drafting. And then the second session will be more focused on, okay, let's start building these quilts. And that's also like, but in between your sketching and when you start cutting and sewing, you can make design decisions. And even once you've started sewing blocks together, you've got another opportunity where you can switch things up. So maybe that initial sketch, from that to your actual physical quilt, there could be lots of changes. And that's the point, is for you to like be able to play around. So the second session will be focused on block construction and sewing those, and I'll do some demos on sewing curves and a few other inset circle. Okay, and then the third session is really like finishing up. So we get together, we look at each other's progress, and we spend another day sewing and looking at flow. And then throughout that process too, we're talking about colors and values and how to use colors in these quilts to make them really work. Okay. At what point do you decide, oh, which blocks you'll be using? The first session. I don't want you can listen, print out all those handouts that I've sent to you and everything, but don't look at them too much. Don't overthink, because we'll do it the first session. You can choose your blocks, so you don't even, yeah. Some people are like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this exercise on my own before class. And I guess if you want to, you can. But I think it's more fun to just show up, not know exactly what's going to happen, and be surprised. But then I like a little bit of chaos. That being said, I think I said in the last Q&A, I'm not good at like improv. I'm scared of like randomly cutting things without using a ruler, and you know, it makes me a little nervous, but I also do like that sort of surprise. Now we're in it, let's go. So I don't want you to overthink or worry too much ahead of time. Just bring the things you need on the supply list. No prep work required, and we'll just jump in on the first day. Okay. All right. Perfect. Does anyone have any other questions about class? Both my kids are like texting me right now, like they don't have a second parent. Being a mom and fun. Okay, so the 11th of April is when we'll get together. Between now and then, if you have more questions, or if you're watching this as a recording and I didn't address something that you are curious about, please feel free to either type it in the community chat. And if I don't see it, sometimes other people are nice enough to answer if they've got the answer. Or you can email me, studio@libselliot.com. Okay. I'm really excited about this. This course I don't teach. I taught once last year at a retreat. I taught it in the fall online, and I like to keep it just like I'm only doing it once or twice a year, just on here. So if you're here, thanks so much for joining. I promise it's going to be chock full of all kinds of creativity and knowledge and fun. And I'm really looking forward to working with you and making a chaos quilt with you, your very own. Okay. All right, everyone. So I'll see you April 11th. Also, I should say, if any of you are not Sew Squad members, if you want to actually join the squad, which is a monthly membership, there's a 1 week free promo on. So if you go to sewsquad.libselliot.com, you can get a whole week for free, and then you can pop in and see what other things we've got going on. We have a special guest this month on the 28th, I think it is, with Andrea Sang-Jackson. She's our guest lecturer. And so if you want to join the squad, you're welcome to do that. If not, that's cool. Just stay in the chaos. The chaos will always be available to you. So even if you fall behind a year from now and you're like, I want to see that recording, or I didn't finish this, you can, as long as you've got your login information, you can log in and you'll always have access to the 2026 content. All right. Okay, everybody. Patty, I know you're looking forward to jumping out of your comfort zone. It's always good. It's nice to do things that are comfortable, especially right now. There's already enough chaos, but this is fun chaos. Okay, I promise. It'll be a really fun process, and you have total control over your outcome for this project. I promise. Okay, over and out, everyone. I will see you all very soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.